Ever get that feeling? Like right before you start something new. Kind of daunting, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That feeling of, what am I even doing? It's universal, I think.
Well, get this. Today's deep dive is all about beginnings, those first steps. And we've got this fascinating source. It's called Gakwam Tiwang, roughly anyway.
Yeah, pronunciation aside, it's less about how to achieve goals, more about the art of starting itself. Kind of unique, right?
Totally. I mean, we've all got things we want to do, projects, dreams, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes just getting started feels impossible.
Right. This source, it gets into the psychology of it all, why we hesitate, those mental blocks we put up.
So it's not just me being lazy then.
No, not at all. Our brains, they're kind of wired to resist change, fear the unknown, that kind of thing. It can totally paralyze us.
Okay, so if it's like a built-in thing, how do we break out of it? How do we actually start?
Well, Kakwam Ti Wang lays out these like 7 arts to mastering beginnings. And the first one is kind of simple but powerful. It's acknowledging that starting IS hard.
So we're not sugarcoating it.
Nope. But the key is you don't let that fear define you. See, starting as self-discovery, not just about the end goal.
So it's more than just checking things off a list. Like it's the journey, seeing where it leads, right?
Exactly. The source even says success may be in taking the first step. It's like the journey itself, that's where the good stuff is.
It makes you think of like hiking up a mountain.
Yeah,
You enjoy the climb, the views along the way, not just reaching the peak.
perfect analogy. And that leads us to the second art. It's understanding that success isn't just the destination, it's about like enjoying the process.
Okay, so we've acknowledged it's hard. We're enjoying the ride. What's next?
Now the source gets real. It's about action. Ideas are great, but it's doing something that makes a difference. The world needs doers, not just thinkers.
It's so true, right? Especially these days, everyone's got a podcast idea, a business plan, the next great American novel.
Exactly. But going from idea to action, that's the hurdle. And that's the third art, becoming a doer.
But sometimes that first step feels, I don't know, huge EE, all that pressure, like right before a race starts.
Perfect example. The source really highlights that overcoming the initial fear, that's a victory in itself, bigger than any finish line.
So it's mental and emotional strength, just as important as the physical stuff. But what about competition? Isn't that all about, like, beating someone else?
True, but the source, it flips that idea. Think about athletes. They compete to test themselves, push their limits, find out what they're truly capable of.
So it's more about self-discovery, pushing your own boundaries, not just winning or losing.
Exactly. That's the fifth art competition, as self-discovery. And it's not just for sports. Apply it to anything. Try something new, push yourself.
It's funny, though, because so many of us avoid that kind of self-competition. We're so scared of failing.
Oh yeah, failure. That's a big one. But guess what? The source says it's an inevitable part of the journey. And that's the sixth art, recognizing failure as a teacher.
I've got to admit, some of my biggest lessons came from messing up. It's tough at the time, but you do learn from it.
Right. It's like that saying, you learn more from your mistakes.
Than your successes.
Yeah, I get it. So where does that leave us? What's the final art?
This one's cool. It's about seeing beginning itself as art.
Wait, what? How does that even work?
Think of it like this. Starting something, anything, it's a personal creative act. No right or wrong way to do it. It's your unique approach.
So the seventh art is celebrating that individuality. Every beginning is different, an expression of ourselves. I kind of love that.
It is powerful.
Yeah, right.
And it reminds us we can create something awesome just by taking that first step.
So let's recap. Ka Kwam Tueng. It gives us these 7 arts of beginning. Acknowledging it's hard, embracing the journey, becoming a doer.
Celebrating those small victories, seeing competition as self-discovery, learning from failure.
And seeing starting as its own art form, it really does make you think about beginnings in a whole new way.
Absolutely. And as you think about your own beginnings, here's a question from the source to ponder. If beginning is an art without right or wrong, what masterpiece are you ready to start creating?
Ooh, that's a good one. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on that, what resonated with you today, any beginning stories you want to share. Until next time, remember, you have the power to start anything.